Have you ever felt like the dream of owning a home is just slipping through your fingers? Well, you are definitely not alone. It's a question people are asking in cities and suburbs all over the world. So what's really going on? Let's unpack this tangled mess and figure out why housing has become so impossibly expensive. Okay, first things first, it is absolutely crucial to understand this isn't just happening in your town or even your country. From the US and Canada all the way to Australia and Germany, satisfaction with affordable housing has just plummeted. This is a synchronized global crisis. And yeah, it feels personal because it is personal. For millions of people, this is the #1 economic struggle of their lives. It's reshaping life plans, it's delaying families, and it's creating this deep, deep sense of frustration. So that feeling you have that the goalposts have been moved way down the field, it's not just in your head, it's real. And here's a number that just perfectly captures that feeling. For generations, the old rule of thumb was pretty simple. You could afford a house that was priced at about 3 times your income. Today, that ratio has soared to 5 times the median income. That's an all-time high. The basic math is just fundamentally broken. To really put a pin in it, let's just look at one city, Boston, over a single generation. Back in 1995, a median-priced home was about $165,000. Today, it's over $714,000. But that's not even the shocking part. Look at the payment. It hasn't just doubled or tripled, it has quadrupled. This is the staggering reality today's buyers are up against. So how on earth did we get here? Well, the story of this current crisis really catches fire during the pandemic. It created this perfect storm of economic forces that basically poured gasoline on an already smoldering problem. It all started right here. To stop the economy from completely collapsing, governments and central banks just pumped unbelievable amounts of money into the system. In the US alone, the money supply shot up by a staggering 40% in less than 2 years. And with all those new dollars chasing the same number of houses, prices, well, they had nowhere to go but straight up. Then came the whiplash. To fight the inflation that all that new money caused, central banks jacked up interest rates at a historic speed. Mortgage rates literally tripled, going from under 3% to nearly 8% at their peak. This just blew up the monthly cost of a loan, and overnight it priced millions of potential buyers right out of the market. But those high rates created a second, totally unexpected problem. I mean, think about it. Why would anyone who refinanced their home at 3% want to sell it just to have to buy a new one with a mortgage at 7% or 8%? The answer is they wouldn't. And this lock-in effect, as they call it, has completely frozen the market, causing the number of available homes for sale to just plummet. But here's the thing. That pandemic shock, it only hit so hard because it landed on a system that was already broken. This wasn't just a recent thing. This is a crisis that has been brewing for decades. The scale of the problem is just immense. Right now, the United States is short somewhere between 3 and 6 million homes. That's the result of building way too little for way too long. It's created this massive imbalance between the number of people who need a place to live and the number of homes that actually exist. And you can see on this timeline, it wasn't just one thing. After the 60s, these restrictive local zoning laws started popping up everywhere, making it harder and harder to build new homes. Then, the 2008 crash just wiped out a generation of home builders, and construction never really bounced back. The 2010s actually saw the lowest level of home building in over 50 years. And a huge political force behind all this is something called NIMBYism. You know, not in my backyard. It's when people in a neighborhood fight against new development. They're worried about traffic or schools or changing the feel of their community. And while some of those concerns might be valid, the end result, when everyone does it, is a total chokehold on new housing supply, which just drives up prices for everybody. Now, as if low supply and high rates weren't enough, a whole new kind of buyers stormed into the market, and they had deep pockets. The whole idea of a house started to change, from being a place to live to being a financial asset, something to be traded by investors. And the size of this investor slice is just mind-boggling. In 2024, investors, we're talking big corporations and small-time landlords, bought about 1 out of every 4 homes sold in the United States. 1 in 4. They're competing directly with families, and very often, they're paying in cash. And right here, this is the direct results. A regular person saving up for a down payment simply can't compete with that wall of cash. So the dream of owning a home gets pushed further and further away. In fact, the median age for a first-time buyer has jumped all the way to 40 years old. So all of this adds up to a crushing day-to-day financial pressure on families. The sticker price of a home is shocking enough, but the true cost of ownership has become an even heavier burden to carry.
This number it's almost hard to believe. Right now, owning a typical home eats up nearly half of the median household's income. The traditional definition of being house poor or cost burdened is spending 30% of your income on housing. We are so far beyond that now. This is crisis level on affordability.
And the hits just keep coming because it's not just about the mortgage. Home insurance costs have skyrocketed, partly because of climate risks. Property taxes are up, and every little repair costs more thanks to inflation. All of these hidden costs are just piling on top of each other, making the affordability crunch even worse. Now, for all the people priced out of buying, you might think renting is the answer. But renting isn't an escape hatch anymore. It's a trap. An absolutely staggering 49% of all renters in the US are now cost-burdened. And look at that second bar. 12.1 million households are severely cost-burdened. They're spending over half their income just on rent, which makes it pretty much impossible to ever save for a down payment. Okay, so after looking at this huge, complicated problem from all these different angles, the big question is, can we actually fix this? Let's take a look at the solutions that are on the table, because there are paths forward, even if none of them are going to be easy. So experts pretty much agree on a few main ideas. Probably the most powerful long-term fix is upzoning. That's just changing the laws to allow more homes, like duplexes or small apartment buildings, to be built in places that are now only for single-family houses. The problem? That faces fierce political opposition. Other ideas, like restricting investor purchases or handing out subsidies, they all have their own trade-offs, and they can even backfire if you don't also increase supply.
The housing analyst John Burns really puts the stark reality into perspective with this quote. He says, "The only way to fix affordability is through income growth, falling home prices, or declining mortgage rates. We may be in an unaffordable situation for quite some time." It's a really sobering reminder that there are no magic wands here. And that leaves us all with a pretty profound question for the future, doesn't it? For decades, owning a home was the main way that families built wealth and secured their spot in the middle class. So what does it mean for our society when an entire generation is basically locked out of that dream? What happens next?